in this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to cut this stylish basque dress with gathers. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button. So to start, I've marked out all my basic measurements for this dress and I'm going to start drafting from the back pattern. Now here is my zipper allowance. I'm going to mark the shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waist, and 7 inches to get your hip point, right? And I'll also be using that as a guide for the basque. Now at the upper part of your pattern, you want to go ahead to mark your shoulder divided by 2 and you're going to add ½ inch to it. From that point, come down by 1 inch and mark a basic neckline of 3 inches. Now after marking that, go ahead to place your ruler, connect from this point all the way to this point, right? So now go ahead to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and draw a straight line at that point. The next step is to go ahead to measure what you have on the shoulder and place it back on the chest line. Now place your ruler and draw a straight line. After drawing a straight line, you're going to divide what you have there into 2 equal parts. And from that point, you divided your armhole, coming by ½ inch. Place your tape here and mark your bust round circumference divided by 4. From the midpoint, connect all the way up, and from the bust round circumference divided by 4, connect to the midpoint. The neckline for the back, we'll use 3 inches by 1.5. I'll place my ruler and I'll go ahead to connect. The next step is to extend it towards the zipper. So after marking this now, we'll start inserting the body measurements. All these measurements I'll mark will start after the zipper. I'll mark the bust circumference divided by 4, then add any sewing allowance of your choice because you're going to turn this with lining. Then mark your under bust round circumference divided by 4, add your sewing allowance. On the waistline, you're going to mark the waist circumference divided by 4 on this point, and then go ahead to add your sewing allowance. Here, mark your hip round circumference divided by 4 and also add your sewing allowance. The next step you take is to connect from the bust to from the under bust to the bust and to the waistline. Then from the waistline, we're going to connect all the way to the hip point of this pattern. So after marking that, the next step you're going to take is to outline your pattern and then mark out the rest of the pattern. Now you need to underline your waist because it is cut separately from the upper part. You have to like join it back, right? So after marking that, I'm going to come down by 5 inches here, or you can also use 4.5 inches. So now what I'll now do is to go ahead to extend this. So you notice I came down by ½ inch at the center part. Then I'll blend this up all the way to the midpoint. That is where the zipper is. And I'll go ahead to outline. I came down ½ inch from the zipper point to make the basque a little pronounced. But if you feel it's too long, you can reduce it, or if it's too short, you can just add ½ inch or 1 to it. You should not add more than that. So what I'll do now is to go ahead to mark out my zipper bulge at the back of this dress. And to mark that, I'll come in by ½ inch here and then place my ruler, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way down towards the hip point, and I'm going to extend this towards the upper part of the bust. Now you're going to cut this out. You can cut out your pattern this way, but if you don't want to like have shortage by the side, you can replace what you took out from the zipper bulge and blend it out to your waistline and to the upper part of your body this way. Now after connecting, this is what I have, and for now I'll go ahead to cut out this pattern. This is what the back upper part of this dress will be looking like. I'm also going to use this to cut out the front. If I want to trace out the front, I'll have to cut out the zipper allowance. So another thing you need to note is the length of your dress, right? So you have to like take measurement for the length of your dress because of the double gathers that we're going to add at the lower part. So just go ahead and cut out this zipper part, and after cutting it out, I'm going to cut here into 2. That is from the waistline. You have to rejoin it. Now after cutting this, if you're making for the back, all you have to do is to cut out your zipper allowance, and now you're now going to reshape the neckline. So we have like a V neckline in front. Now take the length where you want the V neckline to stop and mark. I'm using 7 inches. If 7 inches is okay for you, you can use. If not, use your preferred neckline. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out. So after cutting it out, this is what we have for that of the front pattern, right? So you use this to trace out the upper part and the lower part of this dress. So now from the picture I was given, the lower part, I didn't see the back part of the dress. That's why I made it a basque. But if you feel the back part, you don't want to make it a basque, you can cut out the basque. Make a thread, cut out a strip of fabric and make, then attach at the neckline. So now let's work on the lower part, the part that has a double gathers. Now what you need to do is to get the full length of your dress. For example, let's say the full length of my dress is 40. Now when we are drafting, we marked out our shoulder to waist and then added extra 7 inches for the basque length, which is our hip point. So after drafting, when we were creating the basque, by the side we came down by 5 inches from our waistline to create the basque. And also, like I said, if you're not okay with the basque length, you can increase it or reduce it, right? So now what you're going to do is your shoulder to waist, my shoulder to waist is 17. Then we came down by 5 inches, which is above the hip point. So I'll do 17 plus 5 and it will give me 22 inches. Now, remember I said the length of my gown is 40 inches. What I will now do is that 40 inches, which is my total gown length, I'll be taking out 22 inches from it. Now, you know how we got the 22 inches is our shoulder to waist plus the extra 5 inches we came down from the waist, which gave me the 22 inches. Then I'll do 40 minus 22, which will give me 18 inches. Now, the first layer of the gathers, which is underneath, I'll cut about 18 inches by 4 yards or 3 yards, depending on the person's size. But since I'm going to fold the lower part or weave it out, I'm going to add extra 1 inch for it. So it will now give me 19 inches by 4 yards or 3 yards, which you use in sewing the first gathers. For the second gathers on top, since we used 19 inches by 4 yards, for the upper part, we'll end up using like 10 inches or 12 inches by 4 yards or 10 or 12 inches by 3 yards. The yards totally depends on the person's size or how full you want the dress to be. Now you're now going to sew like a gather stitch and then gather it all around the basque area of this dress.